They say people today spend 6 to 8 hours a day on their phones, touching the screen more than 200 times without knowing why. We scroll through faces and stories, chasing something we can't quite name. Every swipe feels like connection, a tiny hope that someone is reaching back. But most of the time, it's just light, cold, silent, and empty. They say the world has never been more connected. Yet when the screen goes dark, the silence feels louder than ever. I was one of those numbers, maybe the worst of them. Every morning, before my eyes even opened, my hand reached for the phone. The first light I saw wasn't the sun, it was the screen. Before coffee, before words, I had already checked everything, messages, news, numbers. And somehow, I still felt behind. I told myself it was just a minute, but minutes turned into miles. I wasn't waking up, I was logging in. And the weirdest part, I had checked everything, except myself. Sometimes I felt like if I lost my phone, I'd have to report myself missing. Because somewhere along the way, my life started to live inside it. My work, my friends, my thoughts. Even my quiet moments found a home there. Everything I was lived inside that small glowing screen. Work, friends, even fake peace. But one morning, something inside me whispered, "Can you survive without it?" I hesitated, thumb resting on the power button, then pressed it. The screen went black, and for the first time, the world felt still. No notifications, no noise, just silence. And in that silence, I realized how loud my life had been. But silence wasn't peace, it was heavy, filled with the noise from my own mind. Thoughts, memories, regrets, all louder in the quiet. I realized I'd been running from them, hiding behind screens and endless sound. Now there was nowhere left to hide, only me sitting there, with myself. The silence didn't free me, it simply showed me how lost I'd been inside it. On the street, in the subway, everyone's eyes were buried in blue light. Faces moved, but rarely looked up. Hands kept scrolling, heads kept bowing, hearts kept drifting away. The world felt full, yet strangely distant. For a moment, it felt like life was still here, but everyone lived behind screens, touching pixels instead of hands. At work, I couldn't even log in without my phone. My coworker laughed. "You turned it off? Why?" I smiled and said, "Just want to see what happens without it." They didn't understand, but for the first time, I felt like I did. The day felt endless, and then I heard something I hadn't in years. The wind. It moved through the trees, through the cracks of my window, carrying the sounds of life I had forgotten. No alerts, no vibrations, just air. Real, breathing air. For the first time in a long time, the world wasn't talking, it was listening. That night, I wrote, "How many times did I miss my phone today?" I counted, 37. 37 tiny reflexes. Moments when my hand searched for something that wasn't there. The silence between each reach felt strange, but also clean. It wasn't easy, but for the first time, I could see my own habits instead of living inside them. The first step to control is awareness. The next day, I decided to make my phone a tool, not a master. I turned off notifications, cleaned the screen of endless noise, and kept only what truly mattered. Every sound it made was now by choice, not habit. For the first time, I felt in control. Still restless, I walked out, without my phone, without a plan. The air felt strange, quiet, but alive. Every step sounded louder than usual. For the first time, I wasn't following a map, I was just moving. My hands were empty, but somehow I felt lighter. In the park, the breeze moved through the leaves. Silence wasn't empty, it was full of life. The rustle of the trees, the laughter of a child far away, the distant sound of footsteps. Everything felt new. For years, I thought peace came from the screen. But here, under the sky, peace wasn't something I watched. It was something I felt. The world hadn't changed. I had. And for the first time in a long while, I was really here. Sitting there, I suddenly missed my mom. I remembered all the half-texts, messages I never finished, words I never said. So I stood up, no hesitation this time. The road home felt longer than I remembered, but lighter somehow. Maybe connection isn't in the signal. It's in the steps we take towards someone. She opened the door, smiling softly. "You've changed," she said. And I smiled back. "Don't worry, Mom. I already put my phone down." We both laughed a little. For the first time, the silence between us didn't feel empty. It felt full. We talked about the small things: coffee, her garden, the neighbors. No notifications, no rush, just voices, warmth, and time. The smell of dinner in the kitchen, the sound of a clock ticking somewhere in the house. All of it felt real, alive. I had spent years chasing connection through a glowing screen, but here, with her, I finally understood. Peace isn't in pixels, it's in people. That night, I set my phone to Do Not Disturb, and for the first time in years, the world outside could wait. No lights, no sounds, no endless scroll pulling me back in. Just the quiet rhythm of my own breathing. It was strange at first, almost lonely, but slowly, that silence began to feel like peace. For the first time, I slept without checking, without reaching, without thinking about what I might miss. And when I opened my eyes the next morning, I didn't reach for my phone, I just breathed. In the morning, the phone was still there, quiet, but I was different. I didn't rush to touch it. I sat for a while, just listening, to the light, to my breath, to the silence. Then I opened my notebook and wrote, "Today, I decide when to connect." And for the first time, it really felt like my choice. In my notebook, I wrote 3 simple rules: not to control my phone, but to use it wisely and with purpose. Rule 1, use the phone for purpose, not escape. If I pick it up, it should be to create, to connect, not to disappear. Rule 2, let it rest at night, so my mind can too. Because silence before sleep is the softest kind of peace. Rule 3, never let the small screen replace real life. The best moments don't fit into pixels. They happen right here, in front of me. And as I closed the notebook, I realized these weren't rules for my phone. They were rules for my life. Now, when I walk through the city, I see people where I once was. Heads down, hearts distant. Their faces glow with screens, not sunlight. I used to be one of them, but not anymore. Now I walk slower, notice the wind, the sound of life around me. And somehow, the world feels louder, but I'm finally quiet inside. Peace doesn't come from running away from your phone. It comes from deciding when and how to use it. Moral of the story: technology isn't humanity's enemy. When we use it unconsciously, it consumes us. But when we use it with awareness, it becomes a tool for growth, connection, and freedom. Power isn't in silence, it's in awareness.
If this story touched you, share it. Someone might need this reminder today.